try to do this. I'm adding, let's see, I'm trying to look for my buddy here. Choose live mode, mystery mask, popular mask, popular mask. We don't want that. We want Willie Pile. Bring him on camera. Add.
Let's see if we can get this guy working. It's adding right now. Willie, I'm bringing you on. This is going to be awesome. There's a buddy of mine. Oh, come on, man.
Hey, that thing worked, man. Hey, that's technology, bro.
Awesome. You're looking good, man.
No, hey, listen. I had the whole quarantine situation going on, and Mama was like, "Hey, you might want to shave that because it won't." Like it was connecting. I was finally connected. You know, it took years, man. You know, I ain't got what y'all got up there in the mountain grizzly world. So it took some years to get that thing to connect, and no patches in there. So I was holding on to it, but she was like, "No, we about to be back on this out in the public. We need you to cut that." So that's what that was, man. How you looking good too, brother?
Dude, man, I appreciate it. This took a lot of years to grow. Okay, I watched a whole lot of Joe Dirt when I was in college, and so like everybody would be like, "Natural grows in all white trashy like that." I'm like, "Yeah, it kind of does, man." So I don't know what you're trying to say, but yeah, man.
right. All that part, man. That's good.
It's awesome, man. Dude, well, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah.
Man, we got people jumping on already. Chris, what's up, brother? Up in Denver. Morgan, I'm on live. She's messaging me separately. I can't figure out how to get on. Got to go to my page. If you share it with you guys on your Facebook pages, kind of get it out. But what's cool is, man, I want to do some Facebook Live videos and highlight some of my friends and some of my buddies and some people that I think are doing some big things in the community that didn't just come from a pretty awesome place, but are continuing to do big ones right now. Yeah. And so that's the purpose of having you on right now, brother. So I appreciate you jumping on. There she is, Morgan. What's up? I see you. But if you guys have questions in the meantime, what we're gonna do is, man, I'm going to ask questions to Willie, give you a quick recap of his background, but let him explain that more. And then if you guys got questions, put them in the comments, and we'll ask those as they come up. But it's going to be good. But, man, this guy right now, we played together 2005 with the Dallas Cowboys. Most importantly, we were together on this. He was also with the Kansas City Chiefs, for all you Patrick Mahomes fans out there right now. Which I just heard that he might have bought a home in Westlake. Somebody texted me that. I don't know.
Hey, it wouldn't surprise me, man. You know, look, you know where we are. I wouldn't surprise me.
We're in a good spot.
Yeah.
And then, but he played at Virginia Tech, also played in the Canadian Football League.
Oh, yeah.
And right now he's the current owner of Fast Performance and Fitness in Southlake, Texas, doing some crazy things. Father, husband, just killing it, leading a whole lot of people in our community. Just got people trying to interrupt my feed right now.
Right.
But dude, welcome Willie Pile, the man.
Appreciate it, man. I appreciate you, CP.
Well, do this for me. Give me a little recap, just like if you could cut it into like a 2-minute slice or 5-minute slice of where you're from. Quick picture of what childhood was coming up into Virginia Tech, into the league, how that all looked, and then I want to get into the transition and where you're at now and all that. Like growing up, what was life like? How did that all happen coming into the league?
Those are great questions, man. And I love talking about, the foundation, right? Any type of home, especially a quality home, starts with a great foundation. And if you want to live a quality life, sometimes the foundation may not be exactly what you want, but as you start adding more things to it, you start to see something mature. So for me, I was born in the Bronx, right? Got my Yankee cap on, right? I couldn't get the Clippers up that high yet, so I got a hat on right now. So that's what that's about. But I grew up in the Bronx, man, and I lived up north, for the first 11 years of my life. My dad passed away when I was 3, right? My family immigrated from Guyana to here, so my family's South American. My dad is from Brooklyn, so my mom and my dad, obviously had me. And by the time I was 3, he passed from pneumonia, right? So, the whole pandemic situation and people and on respirators, like that actually was a thing for us, but it was more of a birth defect that he had in his heart, a little hole in his heart. So he passed from pneumonia, and then my mom got remarried, in '88, and I got two younger brothers, Benjamin and Levi, and great young men, guys that forced me to grow up a lot quicker than normal. And so my mom raised all three of us, right? She got divorced, and all three of us were in the home. And football and sports in general kind of became a thing, right? I was in the band as well. I was into music, and I did a lot of things that just keep me out of trouble, right? I was always active. I always had something going on. I volunteered a lot. I did a lot of stuff with the band, both in the symphonic and also in the marching band. And then obviously the sports. And so sports didn't become a real thing. Unlike here in Texas, where you start pretty much at birth, it didn't become a real thing for me until I got to high school. Like, that was my first year playing organized football. Obviously, you play, throw them up, bust them up in the neighborhood and all-time quarterback and stuff like that. But by the time I got to Virginia in middle school, guys were already playing sports. And so I didn't pick up a football until high school. And prior to that, it was just hoops. So I figured I was an athlete. My dad hooped before he passed. And so I felt like I was a good athlete. But at the end of the day, I knew that, if I was going to play, I was going to have these options when I got to high school. And so we literally get out there my freshman year, and the coach looks around. Coach Jamie Meyer says, "Hey, who wants to play a wide receiver?" And everybody raised their hand. I raised my hand. Shoot, I want to be like Jerry Rice, right? 49ers were my favorite team growing up. And so I was like, I want to be Jerry Rice. And then he said, "Well, who's going to play quarterback?" And nobody's hands went up. It was like maybe one guy put his hand up. And then one of my buddies, Floyd, he elbowed me in the side. He said, "Look, man, you always all-time quarterback. If you play quarterback, you get to touch the ball every play." And I was like, shoot, I like them odds. Let me go and touch that ball. So I became a quarterback, and that was my first exposure to leadership, to accountability in that team sense. And what it does is it really put a hook in me as to what team sports would be like and what I can use the sport as a platform to do a whole bunch of other things and use it as a vehicle to get to something even bigger. So my sophomore year, we went undefeated my freshman year, had a great football team. I was probably like the fifth best football player on the team. Like, we had some ballers, right? Guys that have been playing for a long time. And then by the time I got to my sophomore year, our coach, our D coordinator said, "Look, I know you love basketball, and it's 12 scholarships in basketball, it's 85 in football." And then he said, "Look, a 6'2" guard, dime a dozen in the DC metro, Northern Virginia area, but a 6'2" safety, 6'2" receiver, 6'2" quarterback. Now you can start picking the schools you want to go to." And I already had the grades, right? My mom doesn't play that, right? So I had the grades, I had the extracurriculars because I volunteered and I was in the band. And so I did all those good things. But man, once that kind of lit a spark in me, like, man, I can go to school for free. And so when I really started to put that energy and effort, lifting weights, studying, I had really good coaches. And really awesome teammates. I mean, I can't say enough about the guys I got to play with in high school because they really did help elevate my play. And so by the time I got to my senior year, I had scholarship offers and I had the grades. But it came down to me choosing between schools like Richmond and William and Mary. They wanted me to play quarterback and safety, and then Virginia Tech, and then UVA came in there late. Boston College was in there, and then Harvard. Right? And so it really became a real choice. What do I want the next 4 to 5 years of my life to look like? Is it Harvard and the business program, which is what I ended up studying anyway, and the connection that you have from there, or leveraging my football ability to be able to have a quality education, but also maximize my sports opportunities? And so I chose Virginia Tech with Coach Foster, and Coach Beamer, came down and came up and offered me and asked me to come on. And so that was a huge decision because that frames the lens that you're going to look at the rest of your life through, right? Where you educate, the type of friends you make, the type of habits you build. Those are the things that I looked at, and the type of work ethic you have. And so I loved it. Virginia Tech was the perfect place for me. I was able to go there. I didn't play my first year. I was a red shirt. Then I backed up my freshman year, and that's when we went to the national championship with Mike Vick leading the charge. And a funny story is that I always thought that I was a really good quarterback, and Mike was obviously outstanding, but I was like, shoot, I held my own in Northern Virginia. Well, we both were number 7 in high school, right? We got to college. You see, I got a 30. See, my 7's over here, but 35's over here. So I was like, dang, kind of figure out where you really stand in the eyes of these coaches. And but I just knew I wasn't going to be a quarterback like that. Plus, I didn't like to get hit. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do the hit. I'm not getting hit by anybody. And so I got to Tech, man, and it was a great experience. Again, surrounded by great teammates, and Coach Foster and Coach Ward, they entrusted me with being a leader on defense as the safety. I was able to be a 3-year starter, won some honors, some All-Americans, some National Player of the Week type stuff, and had a lot of picks, a lot of hits, and a lot of talking trash. And was fortunate to get that call. Shoot, what's that? 17 years ago now. Fortunate to get that call by the Kansas City Chiefs. And they called me in the 7th round, a lot later than I hoped to go, but I still got the call, and I was fortunate to go there and be around Coach Vermeil, Dick Vermeil, and the staff that he put together, and just kind of gave me a different perspective on what the pro game is. And then I left Coach Vermeil's area. I left. I was a cut as a rookie, but they sent me to NFL Europe. So I came back, was on a practice squad, then they sent me to Europe. I went to NFL Europe and played for Amsterdam. So that's where I got some more seasoning. Then I came back, went straight to training camp, new confident, went out there and balled out, made the team, started a bunch of games. The following year, I ended up in Dallas, and that's where we met. I ended up in Dallas, and Bill Parcells calls me, and I'm ready to go.
Right.
Plus, it's Dallas, right? Shoot, I've been looking to get to Texas all my life anyway.
I'm gonna need more out of you, son.
Yeah, exactly. I need more, right? I don't know what your first conversation was like, but mine was crazy. I mean, Bill comes in and he's like, "Hey, I got some questions for you." I hadn't even met Coach Bowles, who was the DB coach. He said, "Look, do you smoke?" I said, "Coach, no, I don't smoke." He said, "Well, do you like, shake clubs?" And I was like, "No, Coach, I don't do that either." And then he said, "Well, good, because we got a lot of both of those in Dallas." And if I
Everybody's
so
coming
mine
in
right
on you.
so right now is kind of doubling up right now. I don't know about your side.
Okay. We'll shoot. Hopefully this fixes itself. But
Yeah.
awesome stuff. Thanks for
Yeah.
sharing that. I got a couple questions, and we got
Talk to me.
one too. But man, coming up, you were talking about using football as a tool, and man, I love hearing that because I know you run into this training guys right now, and we'll get into more of that in a minute. But I've heard so many conversations, especially in Texas. We're in a football land, right? And we've had a lot of kids that might have had burnout. They've been doing it since they were super young. Cole's jumping up, hit a cop in Fort Worth.
Yeah.
What's up, brother? Been doing it since they were young, and a lot of kids get burnt out. And so, like, man, they might even have a scholarship offer, and they're like, I don't want to play. And I've stressed to some of these young kids and their parents. I'm like, don't beat them up, right? With the off season, let the off season be the off season, get some rest. But if we get to this burnout stage, they're like, I hear this, man, I don't want to play football. I want to go be an engineer. I want to go do this. I want to do this. I'm like, that's great. Let's use football to do that versus engineering school costs a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
I want to do something that's going to take care of that. So I love hearing when you comment, like, I want to use football as a tool, especially breaking down the odds where you're coming from. All right, 6'2" guard potentially going to play the next level. I'm like, there's a lot of guys that are doing that versus 6'2" in the NFL. I used to think I was tall at 6'4", and I'm like, I grew up in Seattle, and always what kind of kept me in check that I was not as tall as I thought I was especially with The Last Dance being on. Gary Payton is 6'5", a freaking
Right.
point guard is 6'5", and I'm like, this dude is not about to run up and down the court like that. And
Right.
but I thought that was really good. We had one question from Chip. Chip, kind of a football question. What separated Virginia Tech from being such a big special team school?
What separated Virginia Tech from being special? One is the people. I mean, Coach Beamer, he treated us like men. He was really a leader, and he knew how to delegate. Like, that's the thing. Like, as a husband and a dad now, and obviously a business owner and working with athletes, it's about being able to delegate responsibilities, right? You got to garner trust. You got to build these people up. You got to play to their strengths. Like, those are the things that you notice. And Coach Beamer was excellent at doing that. And then he was just, he was a fun coach. He was hard nosed, but he loved to have fun. And he knew how to balance between the work and the just having fun. And I think you need that healthy balance. So Virginia Tech, the location, 4 hours away, not too far from my family. The education, Pampa School of Business, graduated in 3.5 years. Those were the things that really stood out. And obviously just the teammates that were going in there, and then the guys that came after me, you realize really quickly what type of place that is.
That's awesome, man. I tell you what, when you start talking about coaches, it hits me because just came up in my feed today. Somebody just sent me a message this morning over this last Saturday. Had in the last 6 months, I had two of my wrestling coaches passed away in the last 6 months. But one of them was Raul and Sarah, and he was this short, just yoked little Greek dude. But he used to scream at us and make no sense at all. But he was critical because, like, I think you and I are cut from a similar cloth, maybe different ends of the spectrum, but similar cloth in that I love music. Our folks split up at an early age. It's not very wanted, right? Nobody wants that.
Right.
And so I was kind of going through some of that stuff. But I remember Coach pulling me aside even before practice. He was one of the only people that could see it in some way. And used to talk to me about it. And so that was a big, impactful piece to me. What something similar?
Yeah.
Like how does the coach? I mean, these are huge guys, and you're getting into this. You're doing this right now, but like, how has that affected you, or do you have a specific time where it kind of hit you big?
Yeah, you know what? That's a great point. I always approach whether it's working with athletes, being around my own son, as what I would have had, like that utopian picture. If my dad was alive today, like if he lasted past his 27th birthday and made it to my about to be 40th birthday, what type of relationship we would have had. And so that's why I'm so passionate about working with young people. That's why I'm so passionate about giving them tools to be leaders and to be self-motivated and self-driven, because you don't have that person that's, hey, tap you on the shoulder, hey, get up and do this, hey, get up and do this. Sometimes you need that extra push. Right. And I was fortunate. It took a village to raise me. Right. My mom and my uncles and my grandparents. And so we had that aspect. But my goodness, if I would have had that strong figure, right, or what I assumed would have been a strong figure in my life, who knows where it would have been, right? Maybe I would have been a hooper. Maybe it would have had me in the driveway, working on ball handling skills. Maybe I would have gotten into something else. I don't know. But from my perspective now, because I didn't have that, I drew an image of, hey, what is a dad? What does it involve a coach? What does somebody who really wants to see somebody be successful look like? And then you just start following those steps. It's like, hey, let me encourage you, whether I know you or I don't know you, whether we look alike or we don't look alike, whether we believe in the same things or we don't. There's a human aspect of, man, let me encourage this kid or this person to be their absolute best. And so I just chose to use the vehicle of sports, right? Because I could have did it in ministry. I could have did it in the financial world like you're doing right now. I could have did it as a coach, of an actual team. I actually started working on my master's towards athletic administration because that's what I thought I wanted to do. And I know we'll talk about transition in a second, but that was my first thought. Man, I need to be an AD, right? AD has their hand on a whole athletic program. I can help influence a whole group. But I just realized I didn't want to be, in an office or on the desk and handling mostly scheduling and hiring and firing. I wanted to be in the trenches, working with the people and seeing where they are, giving them a baseline, and then helping them grow to their potential. And so that's what my ministry or my passion or my calling is helping these athletes using a vehicle of sport and mentorship to help grow them to be their best.
Man, that's good. That's so good. That's actually perfect. Coming into first transition to the next portion. So one thing I picked up from you there is, okay, you're like, man, I wanted to be an AD, but then I quickly realized that wasn't for me or whatever. I didn't want a desk job, right? Well, such a huge piece, Jerry, I see you, brother, Vance, such a huge piece of going into the next phase of our lives is identifying what you aren't, maybe more importantly than what you are. Right? There's a key differences. If I know I'm not about one thing, I've just deleted this piece that I'm going to be a part of on purpose. So coming through this, right? We're in this time right now during the pandemic. We're relaxing some of these regulations they have on us. You, especially with the gym, take us through the transition from football player, and we both went through this, and it's not easy, right? But football player, you got the family, you got you personally, but not just, and you have your family on the side, everything that you're dealing with emotionally. Walk us through that transition process into the next step, into the next phase of life.
Yeah, it was definitely tough, man. Especially when you feel like you can still play, when you still have these other opportunities in front of you. But it came down to, what do I want the next 5 years to look like? Not the past 5. We already went through that. What do you want the next 5? And it was important to have that relationship in the home with my family, right? I was in Canada, I'm here, they're in Texas, I'm in Canada. Like that was the part that became even tougher. And so it was like, you know what? If I stop now, because football's going to end at some point, this is going to go on a lot longer. And that relationship with my son, with my wife, that's always going to be important. So that was the impetus, the next step of transitioning. And then it was, okay, now what? And I'm not gonna lie, I sat around, I thought, what do I want to do? What's the next step? You got to stay active. You got a little bit of, change you're sitting on, but obviously that's going to run out too. And so those were the questions I had to ask myself. And, I started working with a guy. We were training athletes, getting them ready for the draft. He just called and was like, hey, we worked at a camp and I saw you working with DBs. You want to come train with some guys? And I was like, sure. And I did it. It was right over here in South Lake, and so it wasn't far from me. And then we started training, and I realized this was a good model. I had guys that would come down in the off season while I was playing in Canada that would come train. And I said, you know what? Maybe I'm good at this. Maybe this is something when people want to be around me. They need that mental mindset push. They need the physical push of getting better. But, just the way I approach and my perspective on training and working with athletes and being your absolute best, because it's individualized. I can't just throw a blanket out and say, hey, Corey's best is the same as Willie's best or it's the same as John's best. Like, your best is different. This offseason, you might need to be working on your punch or your footwork, whereas last offseason, you just need to get stronger because you're tired of getting pushed around. Like, everybody's best at that moment is different. And so I started realizing individual needs change as you progress. And that's when I was like, well, shoot, this is a good niche. But we were working with pro athletes and older guys. And I said, well, if the pyramid of success in football, the biggest part of it is the youth athlete, right? The tippy top, the 0.001% get to play in the NFL, but it's 1,000 kids just in our 5-mile radius that are looking to get better, to be encouraged, to get faster, to get stronger, to get more skilled. And I'm like, if I focus on that and flip the model upside down, then I'm able to focus up there and then work down. And then that's how FAST was born. And it was 5 core areas of sports performance that I believe in. It's footwork, agility, speed, strength, and technique. And so if I can focus on those 5 things in every workout for all of our ball sports, that's what's going to help the athletes get better. And so you go through, the whole getting registered and creating an LLC and those kind of things. And then it just started to take off. But in the meantime, while I was sitting down, the cool thing was I was able to do some television and some commercial and some acting. And so that's what, was bringing in income. That's what was allowing me to, still pursue these other things that I wanted to do, is because I was gainfully employed as a talent, right? I'm in TV shows, I'm on movies, I'm in commercials, I'm going to auditioning, I'm doing co-reads. So that was the fun thing, is that it allowed, and, if you get the right commercial and it goes national, that can take care of you for a good long time. And I was fortunate to book several. And, my wife, she was in that agent type role, and my sons, they also do talent and modeling, and that's how I got into it. My oldest son, Jalen, he's a good looking kid, I think. And so they were like, hey, you want to take pictures too? And I was like, no, I'm here for him. And they were like, no, we want you too. And then that's how it started. And so I was able to do television and commercial for a while I was still trying to figure out what route FAST would go. And then as it started to build and I started to get more, Jalen, my oldest son, was my first client. And then his friends came in, and then their friends came in, and then it just mushroomed to what we have now.
Man, that's good. That is what I see there is, I think what's so good, especially with athletes. A lot of people are like this, either inherently, but athletes, it's ingrained into us, it's conditioned into us. Is kind of the actionable steps, and we see a lot of, obviously we see tons of bad publicity about guys falling down the wayside or going broke or doing whatever. Okay, our media loves to just pour negative out into the world. But what I love, especially about us athletes, is what you're talking about. Is, man, I might not know what I'm doing specifically today, but I'm going to get up and do something.
Right.
And I'm going to get up and move the needles in some place, whether that's with the commercials, talent, agency, acting, modeling, whatever, or working, but coaching on the side. But you're doing a plethora of things, and all of a sudden God starts lighting things up for you, maybe in all of them, but maybe specifically in a couple that you really have a passion that your soul grabs onto. And so it's huge kudos to you, but I kind of take that away, especially during this time, this transition time where people have been laid off. People have gone into, they're in crazy situations, either financially or even with their families, like, right, where it causes a lot of stress. It's this, no matter what, keep the ball moving. Move it down
Yeah.
the field somehow, even if you're
Some
not
way.
sure how this has happened. It's like a 2-minute drill. I'm like, you're exhausted. I don't know how I'm even doing this right now, but I'm
Right.
getting the job done.
Right. No, you're right. And that's a great catch. And the thing that I think though is that that's not to neglect the part that there was some sitting down and that, hey, you know
Right.
what? You got to sit and, like you said, think through what's going to happen. So if you aren't moving and you're not, sometimes just being still and figuring it out is important. And then, but once it's time to go, like, let's go. Like, don't tell me what you're going to do it. Right.
Right.
And so that's the aspect of it that I do take. Cause I mean, there was some sitting down and, some inactivity and, there's a moment where you feel bad. And so you don't push that down, but you, like you said, use the fuel to the next actionable step and the next step. And then next thing you know, now you're walking and you're moving in a direction you want to go. So I'm with you on that.
I think that's actually something of mine that I got to work on consistently, because I'm more go, go, go all the time. And I got to take a step back to actually put some thought into what that next step is.
Yeah.
And so that's really big. That's a really big observation. I appreciate that. Well,
Yeah.
tell everybody we're coming up on 30 minutes. I want
Yeah.
to kind of keep it in that time frame to respect your time and everybody else's. What,
Okay.
man, where can they find you? Where they find you, and then what's a piece of encouragement? Maybe it's something that's sitting on your head, on your mind, and your heart, whatever that's prevalent right now. Like we got some crazy stuff going on, right?
Yeah.
What's something that's sitting on you right now that you want to encourage for people, or just kind of like a word
Yeah.
that you got burning for you?
Right. And so right now, so to find me, to go back, it's fast with 2 S's, so FASST. So I Train Fast is our handle on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. And then my name, Willie Pile, also, and Ill Will Pile is my other Instagram handle. And so you try to stay active. And that's the biggest thing I feel going forward is I learned how to adapt, right? What we think is normal is not going to be normal going forward, right? What we're used to doing. And so we had to learn to adapt, right? We went to virtual talking, communication, right? Virtual training was one of the things that we adapted in our own practice. And then moving forward, when they start opening gyms and parents start getting comfortable bringing the kids out and we're practicing, proper social etiquette and social distancing and those things that kind of curb the spread of the virus. The biggest thing is adapt. It's really, I believe it was Bruce Lee, right? It'd be like water, right? Be like water. And water is powerful, right? Persistent water breaks through a rock, right? And so we got to be like water. We got to be flexible. We got to be steadfast in the vision that we want to have coming out of this. So whether that's for your family, that's for you personally, that's for your health, that's for your finances, like whatever it may be, let's just be persistent in what we want it to look like on the other side. And then, like you talked about, move that needle closer and closer towards it. And so for me, I know that just with fast personally, I want to see athletes, get off the couch, get out from in front of Fortnite and start getting active. Right. And so that's one of my big things is getting those kids' lungs and wind back up so that they can feel good about themselves. Right. And not saying that they don't now, but it's just important to be active and to be moving. And so, again, I'm going to use it as my platform to work with them and to talk. And then also the mindset, like this thing has done a toll on so many kids because parents don't know how to deal with it. So if you're a full grown adult with kids and issues, what's going to happen to the youngsters, right? Their mind is frazzled. Hey, how do we handle it? And so I always keep seeing the calmness of the parents or the direction of the parents influences everything else underneath them. Their children, right? More is caught than taught. And so those are the things that I'm very, very cognizant of, and I'm really working on it, because I realize that my boys are looking at me. And so they need to know how I respond to things and how I respond to adversity. And so, I do it with a smile, I do it with some great determination, and I do it with a great partner, right? My wife is just awesome. And so it's important that you have people that are there to support you. And I've had that all along the way, from my family, all the way through college, through my professional life, to my business, and obviously with my nuclear family right now. So those are the things that I would just encourage, right? Stay strong and hold on to the people that are closest to you, that are there to build you up and encourage you, and then just be persistent at the focus on that goal of what you want it to look like on the other side of this, right? Because there will be another side. And my mom used to say, when you go through hell, keep going, right? Go through it, don't stop, right? Keep going, don't wait on this side, keep going, because there's some promise on the other side of that pain.
It's huge. That's absolutely. I love that. There's always people get stuck in the transition and they forget to keep moving to the gift. Man, thank you so much for sharing that. Man, I love bring up Kia. Kia is awesome. You guys are awesome. I love you guys to
Appreciate
death.
you, CP.
Man, everybody who's jumping on right now, if you guys ever get a chance to work with Willie, this guy is one of the most infectiously positive guys you'll ever meet in your entire life. And his wife is a huge piece of that. He is a huge piece of that, obviously. But they're doing some awesome stuff right here in Southlake, Texas. So if you're in the area, check out Fast Performance and Fitness. Check out him. I promise you're not going to regret it. They're awesome people. And you're getting it from the real deal, right? But and you can tell right here, he's got an amazing heart. But, man, I love you.
Man, appreciate that, CP.
Love you.
Man, love you too, brother, man.
On.
And before you do log off, I just got to shout you out too, man, because just the advice, the encouragement, you know, in all things. Hey, if you call the NFLPA about this, hey, have you looked into this? I mean, like, you own it. You're always looking out not just for yourself, but you're always looking out for others. And that's a gift in itself, right? To be selfless, to always looking at, hey, this is my brother. You may not have the intel that I have. Let me give that to you. So I can't thank you enough. You know, shoot, life insurance. Hey, make sure we got it. You know, you got it taken care of. Hey, you always know what's coming up next and on the other side of the horizon. So that's good to have somebody in your peer, but also has that forward thinking aspect too, man. So we appreciate you, brother, man, and I look forward to doing more stuff like this, man. This is awesome, right? Shoot, we might have something going on with this CP and WP. We might pull something together, man.
You're gonna do a camp or something, man. Or whatever, something.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I got you, right? It's a whole lot of linemen that could use your assistance. I'm telling you. So we'll get you out, bro.
Hey, thanks, brother. Well, I'm gonna download this. I'm gonna post it, repost it.
All right.
I'm gonna put it on YouTube. But I want people to hear your voice and your story, man. But thank you
Appreciate
so much.
CP.
Thanks everybody for jumping on. But we'll sign off. I'll let you get to it, brother. But
absolutely, I know, right? Back to the grind, baby. Appreciate you, CP.
All right, we'll see ya.